Hey guys, American Pizza Books here. So I am back. I'm probably gonna not give the usual spiel about how I was gone, and I apologize for that and everything. Life happens and stuff gets in the way. But I am back, and I am back with another book review. And this is a book that I finished yesterday, I believe. This is going to be on Three by the author Ted Dekker. Now, Ted Dekker is an author that I've wanted to try for a little while. I was a little hesitant because I knew from research that he was a Christian author, and I've got nothing against. Let me try to adjust the camera here. I don't have anything against like Christianity or religion or anything, but just like I don't want to be like I don't want to have like religion slammed on me when I'm trying to read, because I read for pleasure and everything. I like to enjoy a good story, regardless of the noise. If you hear any, there's a lot of people here right now, but anyways, but yeah, I like to read for a good story, and I don't want to be, preached at and everything and stuff like that. But luckily, with Dekker, or at least with this book, there's really none of that in there. Like I could have just went into this book completely unaware of who Ted Dekker was or who he was as an author, like not knowing that he was a Christian author or anything. And I probably wouldn't have even known that he was a Christian author. Like I probably would have just thought it was just, like there's one or two instances where you can kind of see it, but like other than that, you probably couldn't even tell that that this was written by a Christian author, which I think even Ted Dekker said himself that he doesn't really consider a lot of his work to be Christian fiction, per se. Like, that's not what his books are about. I mean, they've got like messages of Christianity in them, but they're not necessarily like all about Christianity and everything. So, I think even Dekker himself has said that he doesn't really care for that label. So, but anyways, so 3 is probably one of his more, I guess, popular books or more well-known books. He's got quite a few books, but this one is basically I guess, a mystery, thriller, suspense, and everything. And basically what it's about is Kevin Parson, who is a seminary student. He's, going to become, I believe he's trying to become a preacher or a priest or something. He's a seminary student, at least. He's in school. And, he's driving home one night, after he talked with his professor, and he gets a call from a guy who calls himself Slater, and he gives him a riddle, and if he doesn't solve it, and if he doesn't, then he wants him to confess a sin. He wants him to confess a sin, and he doesn't give him a riddle. He wants him to confess a sin, and Kevin doesn't know what that sin is. So Kevin doesn't know what the sin is. And then Slater, I believe, gives him like 3 minutes to confess, and if he doesn't, then his car will blow up. So, Kevin, of course, is trying to scramble around, figure out what the sin is, and he can't figure it out. So he drives his car to, like, the parking lot of, like, a Walmart or something. He gets out, and first nothing happens, and the car blows up. So then, of course, he knows this Slater guy is for real, And, and that's basically what the book is about. So throughout this whole book, Kevin is pretty much like a cat and mouse type of thing, where Slater is giving him these riddles that he has to solve, and if he doesn't solve them, then he's going to blow up something, or he's going to do something vicious and crazy and just evil and everything. And so, yeah, it's really just like a cat and mouse type of thing. Another character in this book is Sam, who is Kevin Parsons' childhood best friend. And we get flashbacks of Kevin when he was a child, and we kind of get flashbacks of him and Sam as children, and kind of their friendship and how it develops and everything. It's actually kind of sweet and everything, but it's kind of nice. It kind of adds more to the characters and everything. And then we also have Jennifer, who is I believe, an FBI agent. She gets dragged into this because they suspect that Slater is the riddle killer, and Jennifer is involved with this. Has an attachment to this because the riddle killer killed her brother, Roy. And so she kind of wants to take on this case to, avenge her brother pretty much. And that's how it starts out. As the book goes on, Jennifer's intentions kind of shift a little bit, but, not in a bad way, like in a good way. They just change. Like she develops as a character and everything. But So that's pretty much what it's about. It's just about this, this Slater guy, pretty much causing mayhem, and Kevin trying to figure out these riddles and, trying to figure out what this Slater guy wants and what he wants him to confess and everything. So that's pretty much what it's about. And some other characters. We have his mother, who is really his aunt, and who's her name is Belinda. His uncle and his brother, who is really his cousin, who was I believe his name was Bob. Eugene is his uncle and everything. They didn't really get as much attention in the book as the characters that got the most attention in the book were Kevin, who was basically the main character, Sam and Jennifer. Those are basically the main characters I would consider. There were some other characters too, but I feel like they were the three main characters, three main protagonists. And Slater was the main villain, obviously. So I think I liked this book. This was my first Ted Dekker novel. I actually did read something else that he wrote. I read House, but that was a collaboration with Thr3e, who was another Christian author. So I have technically read something by him, but I hadn't read something that was just by him, not a collaboration. So yeah, 3 would be the first book that I've read by Ted Dekker by himself alone. And I for the most part, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it didn't blow me away, but I mean, I thought it was pretty good for a thriller novel, for a suspense novel. I was, like I said, I was a little nervous because I was afraid that there was going to be a lot of overtones of, like I was saying earlier, Christianity and religion and stuff like that, but there really wasn't. It was really just a straightforward suspense thriller, novel, just a good old time. As far as the plot goes, the plot was definitely interesting because you're wondering, what is Kevin's sin? What does the Slater guy want him to confess? And you also, and there's also this implied past of Kevin's. Kevin has this past with the environment that he grew up in with his Aunt Belinda and his uncle and everything, and you wonder what happened in that house. Because Kevin is clearly he has a past and he's been running and he's been trying to bury it, whenever it gets mentioned, whenever that house, whenever because he has to go to that house a few times for various reasons, back to his aunt's house, and when he goes back to that house, he just becomes a mess, and it's like he does not want to go back, and it's just like, what happened there? Like, what did he go through there? So that was really interesting, kind of finding out the backstory of Kevin before all this. And then again, just figuring out what this Slater guy wants and who exactly the Slater guy is, because there's another theory that this, because when, in some of the flashbacks, when Kevin and Sam were kids, there was this boy that was just like basically crazy, and he was like stalking Sam and everything, and he threatened to kill Kevin if he didn't leave Sam alone. And so there's this theory that Slater might be the boy from his childhood and everything. So yeah, I mean, as far as the plot goes, I mean, I thought it was good. It was entertaining. It kept me reading. It kept me interested. So yeah, I thought it was good. And the reveal at the end, I won't say it, in case of, well, I'll go ahead and say it. I won't say it right now when I do reveal what it was, and I'll warn everyone of spoilers. But I mean, no, the plot was pretty good. It kept me interested. The writing was. It was pretty good, I mean, I'm not big on writing. I mean, a book doesn't have to be, elaborate, great writing. It doesn't have to be fucking Shakespeare for me to enjoy it. I mean, I'm looking for enjoyment for a good story. The writing doesn't have to be something really special for me to enjoy it. But I mean, I thought the writing was decent. I mean, I can appreciate some good writing, but I mean, like, I'm not, I mean, I would rather read a book that has a good story, but maybe not so great writing, than a book that has, very, very great elaborate writing, but not a great story. So, but yeah, the writing overall was decent. The one thing about Ted Dekker, I noticed is that, because he's a Christian author, there's no vulgarity. Like, I think I saw the word hell like once in the book, but there were no vulgar words at all and everything, and that's not really a knock. Like, I don't have to have vulgarity in my books to, but because of that, there would be times where the characters would, like, would say you, like, I think actually in the first few pages when Slater is, I remember this when he's talking to Kevin and he calls him a stupid brick. And it's just like, really? That's the stupid brick? That's like, and then like, I remember at one point, there was a scene where Kevin was just getting frustrated and he said that Slater was toilet water. Yeah, he said that Slater, he was like, "You're toilet water." Like, I remember that quote. Like, I would pull it up, but I can't remember what page it is, but I vividly remember that scene, that line of dialogue where he called Slater, he said, "You're toilet water," and I was like, really, Ted? That's like the best you could come up with, but that's just a very minor gripe. I mean, it didn't really take away from my enjoyment of the book. The characters I enjoyed the characters, you know. I mean, they weren't groundbreaking characters, but I mean, like, they were pretty good characters. They definitely didn't feel like cardboard cutouts, you know. Kevin definitely felt like a human being with flaws and everything, and I found him to be really likable, you know, and I sympathized with him and his struggle and everything. You know, Sam, I really enjoyed her. She was a really strong, you know, she was pretty tough and everything, and she was you know, intelligent and everything, and she was pretty cool. You know, Jennifer, same thing, you know, she was pretty cool, and her past with her brother and everything, really, I felt like gave her character more depth and everything. So I feel like you could sympathize with her character more when you knew about her past with Roy. I feel like that gave her gave you a little bit more reason to you know, get invested in her character and everything. You know, Slater was a creepy, you know, definitely menacing villain, so I enjoyed him. And all the other characters, I mean, obviously, Kevin's Aunt Belinda is crazy, and so was his uncle and everything. I think Dekker did a pretty good job of making that clear. And then all the other side characters were good. You know, there's a Milton. He's like the head chief of police in the town that this takes place in. He's kind of a dick, but, you know. And there's a few other side characters, but, I mean, you know. So this is where the spoiler is going to come in. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the end of this book, then just mute it and then come back in like a minute. I'm going to have to cut this off pretty soon anyways because I have a limit for these videos, but the reveal at the end of Kevin having multiple personality disorder because you finally find out after all that, after, you know, wondering. I'm sure some people probably found out and realized it before, but you find out that Slater, not only Slater, but Sam too, were just two other personalities that Kevin created to, you know, cope with his upbringing and everything. So this whole time, Slater is actually Kevin, and, you know, Kevin's been doing all this psychotic shit, but it's as Slater, you know. So I know with I don't know what the current term is for the multiple personality disorder. I know there's a dissociative identity disorder, I think, or something. Sometimes the personalities aren't aware of each other, so that's why Kevin didn't know he was doing all this shit, as, you know, when he was Slater, when the Slater personality took over. So, you know, Slater kind of represented the evil, and then Sam, who was also a personality, you know, represented the good and everything, and then Kevin kind of represented the balance in between and the struggle. And so I thought it was really interesting how Ted wrapped that up and gave that. That was definitely a twist. I didn't expect that, so that was a pretty cool surprise. And the ending was kind of sad, because it's like, you know, I liked Sam as a character, and it's kind of sad to find out that was just a product, that Sam was just a product of the dissociative personality disorder, or dissociative identity disorder, whatever. But it's still a happy ending, you know. It's and you know, in the end, he's getting help and everything. So it was wrapped up pretty well. And Kevin's professor in this is another character that I forgot to mention. He was pretty cool too. So overall, I liked it. I give it like a 4 out of 5. I think pretty good book. I'd recommend it. So if you're looking to try out Ted Dekker, I would definitely start with this one. Pretty good book. And yeah, so that is it for this one. And I will be back at you guys soon with more reviews later. So Peace, and keep on reading.